Altars.
When it comes to altars, there are certain things we have to know. Number 1, altars do not die, but it can be destroyed. Number 2, altars can be raised without your knowledge for you or against you, by you or even by someone else. Number 3, an altar is a platform to invoke a deity. Number 4, altars are created and therefore can be destroyed. Number 5, altars can live for generations if not destroyed. Number 6, there are taboos or sacrilege that can destroy an altar. We're going to be looking at point number 7, destroying and raising generational altars. Many times, certain traits, behaviors, and patterns appear in our lives, and we ask ourselves how these things came to be. We need to understand that family altars are real. We can raise altars knowingly or unknowingly. When you decide to bring God back into your home, you are raising an altar in your home. You are placing yourself under a divine blessing. Now, before we continue, let me ask you a question. What type of altar do you have in your home? The word altar is defined as a structure of any kind used as a raised surface on which offerings or sacrifices are placed. Now, what is being offered in your home? Is it sin or holiness? Is it God or the devil? There are some things you should know about altars. First, an altar cannot accommodate two entities. It is impossible to serve two gods on the same altar. You cannot serve both God and mammon. This is why you must choose today whom you will serve. If you choose God, then you must build your altar to Him. Now, second, an altar is a platform for worship. An altar without a sacrifice is not truly an altar. If you create an altar for God and do not sacrifice anything on it, then it is not an altar. In the Old Testament, an altar was where sacrifices were made. And as Christians, we are the living sacrifices. We are called to offer ourselves as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is our spiritual worship. If we do not come into the presence of God with a heart that worships Him and seeks Him, then we are just going through the motions. Third, an altar is a place where covenants are enacted. In the Old Testament, whenever a new phase was about to begin, sacrifices were made. And a covenant occurs when you enter into communion, not necessarily sexual, with a deity. For example, Samson had a covenant over his life, but cutting his hair was sacrilegious for him. Cutting hair is not inherently bad, but it became wrong because his covenant was tied to it. Another example is the instruction the Lord gave to Noah after he made a covenant with him. In Genesis chapter 9, verse 4, "But you must not eat meat that has its lifeblood still in it." Fourth, an altar is a consecrated place for consistent worship. In order for an altar to work, you have to be consistent. If you pray for 10 minutes every Monday and Wednesday, but miss for a few weeks, you may not see the results you desire. You must remain steadfast in your prayer time until you reach the place of blessing. It is consistency that raises altars. Fifth, an altar is a platform to invoke deities to manifest. Let's look at 1 Kings chapter 18, verses 36 to 38. Then Elijah said to them, "If the Lord is God, follow Him. But if Baal is God, follow him." The people did not answer a word. So he rebuilt the altar of the Lord, which had been torn down. And Elijah cut the stones according to the number of years for 150. And it came to pass when he had made a calf altar that Elijah took 12 stones from the wall according to the number of the tribes of the sons of Jacob to whom the word of the Lord had come, saying, "Israel shall be gathered." Then he built an altar on it and made the calf of the altar. In this passage, Elijah rebuilt the altar of God and made a calf altar. He did this so that he could invoke the deity to manifest himself. Here, Elijah invoked the Lord to manifest on the altar of the Lord. But he also built an altar for Baal so that he could invoke Baal to manifest on the altar of Baal. However, when you have an altar for the Lord, Baal cannot appear on the altar of the God of Israel. Baal could only appear on his own altar. That is why the prophets of Baal were confident. They knew their altar and were calling on their God. They thought Elijah would fail when he tried to invoke the God of Israel. But the God of Israel appeared on his altar. Another thing we notice is that Elijah built the altar of God according to the pattern of what was originally built. He didn't put up a fight with the altar of Baal. He simply rebuilt the original altar of God. Why? Because he knew that God already had a place of habitation. Brethren, we are to come boldly before the throne of grace, having received mercy and obtaining grace to help in times of need. As we close, I want you to remember this. Whatever you are facing today, no matter how difficult it may seem, trust that the God of Elijah is alive and well, and he can manifest in your situation. You can rebuild your altar by putting your faith in Jesus Christ. Just call on the name of the Lord, and he will deliver you. Remember, the Lord is not slack in his promise, as some count slackness, but is long-suffering toward us, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance.